Why, hello there. As far as today's lecture, it's going to focus on the body, right? Something that's oftentimes overlooked in the industry. We do talk about the articulatory stuff, how to use the lips, where to place the tongue, what's going on with the face to a certain extent, right? But we do not talk enough about the rest of it. So there's the neck, there's the pharynx, there's the larynx, there's the shoulders, there's the small back, there's the abdominals, there's the bum of yours that you sit on, there's your thighs, there's your calves, there's your knees, there's your feet, there's all of it. And it's all going to contribute to how you produce your voice, your English speaking voice in particular, because it was through my, through the American speaking identity part of me that I learned how very tense I've been my whole life. And I'm looking to help you guys detense. And I'm going to share this, the slideshow that's going to help me talk about stuff and do so in a very systemized manner. So let's go, why don't we? Share. Boom. Let's go. All right, here we are. So our bodies have a little something to do with our voices. So what does that mean exactly, right? So of course it's sort of a jokey understatement, and in truth, they've got everything to do with our voices. How we are, whether we are in contact with our bodies and whether we are aware of which parts of our bodies are tensing up and stiffening up in any given moment, it's all going to have a very direct impact on the quality of the sound, the speech sounds that you're producing, and the quality of your breath work, which is also very much going to inform how present you are phonetically speaking. So that is to say, we've got a certain agenda, and there's a set of questions for us to go through. That is, why is the body so important, right? So let us really get to the heart of the matter and look into why it bears so much importance to us as speakers, as people who are very into accent work. What shall we do about this importance? What it is, we gotta be, we gotta have our eyes on the prize. What is it that this is all for? What is it that is going to get us? What is this knowledge going to bring along? What's breath got to do with it? Breath is a huge part of how the whole of your body system functions. And you've probably heard a lot of people talk about it here and there in various contexts, but we're going to look into what it's got to do with voice work in particular. Do we warm up or cool down? What do we do? How do we detense? How do we stay toned? How do we combine all that, right? So that's what's at the center of this agenda of ours. And a little something on self-dialogue and presence whenever you're speaking to somebody. We're going to cover it all today. So let's get going. Why the body? So it so happens, and I want you to check in with yourselves, that somehow as adults, we tend to do this thing where we are so very tense all the time, and most of the time not aware of us being tense. So we hold on to tension. There's a lot of holding. There's a lot of stiffening. There's a lot of taking up less space than our bodies are designed to take. So somehow we tend to shrink. We tend to get smaller. We tend to hunch up and lean in and slouch and somehow contract as opposed to expand. And that somehow gets worse as years pass by. And it is a problem, is it not? What I'm offering to y'all as an alternative, a groundbreaking one, when it comes to the practical side of things, when you actually see it through, I suggest that we instead move around lots more, in between sitting down here and there and staying literally still for whatever reasons, lots of moving around, lots of getting alive, coming alive. Okay. Freeing up some energy, getting it out, getting it outwards, pouring it out, not keeping it in. Okay. Energy, as in, we're talking physics here, not woo-woo stuff. Get loose, get loosey goosey. Okay. Take up space, expand, extend, get big, be big. That's one of those things that I learned first off when I was doing this training for Bali X trainers. It's like a cardio type movement, sort of like Zumba, but with Bollywood music. And that's amongst the first things that we were told by the Bollywood gurus of ours. Be big. When you are in, at the front of the room, in front of the mirror, and you've got all those people watching you, you've got to make sure that you expand so that they do too. You got to be seen. You cannot just be standing there in the corner. Literally expand, send that message to those that you're trying to communicate stuff to, whether it be in dance moves or words. Now, stretching is a huge part, a huge sort of, what shall I call it? It's my go-to means of getting bigger, right? So stretching helps you de-stiffen, detense, literally get bigger, literally move upwards and sideways and get so very expandy and not at all contracted and not at all small and miserable. So, of course, yoga or yoga related practices are very much at the center of let's call it the stretching approach to body work, right? So we're going to be doing a lot of stretching and a lot of moving around afterwards, and then back to stretching to get things going, get things flowing, and to get the breath going as well, right out your mouth and out your nostrils, and all of it. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty of it in a bit. So this is where I introduce a quote by a certain gentleman who was not at all a feminist, but we're going to forgive him given the part of the era that he was representative of. So Henry David Thoreau, quite the writer, once said something that's so very beautiful. And of course, it's it's sort of a compact, reduced version of what he was on about, but this is the essence. When we move, think of the poetry behind this. When we move, we remember ourselves. Back to how when we're kids, there's a lot less tension in our bodies to begin with. And then we store trauma, and then we, begin to hold on to things just to survive, because our body needs to somehow, keep us going, keep us standing, right? But we remember ourselves, our essential core sort of go-to ways of living to our bodies, right? And when we do that, we remember our wildness, quote unquote. Whereas when we sit down all day and we hunch up and we slouch down rather, right? We forget ourselves, okay? We are somehow disconnected from very, I want to say, instinctive parts of our of ourselves on the physical level. So why is this so important? Aren't we going to work on our accents? What's happening? In short, your voice comes out of your body. That's it. That is all it is. Okay, we got it out. That's the whole story. Okay, free to go now. Okay. In truth, we're gonna look into it. There's a wonderful someone named Caroline Goydar, one of the luminaries of the voice industry, one of the pioneers, and she would tell the readers of hers, the followers of hers, myself included, how our bodies are essentially our resonators, amplifiers, right? There's this architecture that the air travels through, and that's what creates sound. But the architecture starts at the very core, right? At the very foundation. So it's not just in here, but it starts at the feet. Now, how does that work? Because it does sound interesting and intriguing, and it kind of sort of, promises to make sense. But how does this work exactly? So let's think about it for a second, okay? So the resonator of the voice, that's what our body is. That's what it's supposed to, that's what it's meant to serve as. So it's the bit of the whole system that one human is. It's ultimately going to determine the quality and efficiency of our sound, right? How does that work? Because we want to get as expressive as possible. We want to get as big as possible. We want a big resonator. We want to get loud, not loud and obnoxious, not loud and discomfort causing, although that might also be the case in certain contexts, but that's a whole separate story. But, take up the space that the body is designed to take. Repeating myself here, but that's a very important thing to reiterate. So a little work should be done on the body for the resonator to function as it should. Again, in an optimal manner as opposed to suboptimal. So look, we're born, everything's done for us, life is simple, hopefully, at least in the beginning stages of it, right? And our breathing just works the way it's supposed to work. And that first sound we make when we've just been born, that's one loud sound, okay? And you get a teeny resonator with the loudest sound of all, right? Yet somehow, as we grow older and hopefully wiser, we collect this tension as we face various types of hardship here and there, and somehow we lose our voice, the optimal openness and expansiveness of it as time goes by. And as humans, we tend to do that, right? So we kind of ourselves spend most of our lives getting in the way of how our bodies were designed to move through space, right? In terms of how much space we ought to take to begin with. So we get in the way of our physical freedom, and it's a problem. So there's all this holding on to trauma, onto some unhealthy, unsound focus. And there's ways to work with this, right? So if there's not enough expression, not enough volume, right? There's some speaking concerns of various kinds. The culprit is most certainly going to be the unnecessary excess tension, okay? So this is where we come to Nick Redman, one of my favorites, an Irish lady. My goodness, what a voice she's got on her. A voice actor, a voice coach as well, wrote a wonderful book called On the Mic, much recommended. And I do quote quite a lot from it. So it's all going to come down to the unnecessary excess tension and us trying to let go, right? So kind of unlearn those habits, habitual patterns that are in the way of us producing all the sound that we're capable of, not just articulatorily, but whatever's in the lungs, right below the lungs, and at the feet even, right? How's that going to work exactly, right? So what do we do? Where do we begin? How do we tackle the unnecessary excess tension? So it all starts with, look at the lady doing yoga. Look at how she kicks ass at being aligned, right? So she is aligning all of the bits of her body for one posture. So it all starts at the bones from the very inside, right? So it doesn't start with the tongue, it starts with the bones, okay? Now, what the heck do we do about our bones? We align the bones. So I want you to start with a kind of a check-in exercise, right? Where you ask yourself questions and you check in with yourself and you register certain parts of your body doing certain things. no cheating, right? So do you say to yourself, okay, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm not doing. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is what I normally do. So we're going to start with the first one here. Are you slouching in any way, right? Are you sort of leaning forwards and kind of, tending downwards? And can you feel any tension anywhere? Any holding? I love this word. I love this metaphor. Any holding in your body? Feel like it's more like this contracting as opposed to just chill, just being there, just being part of your body. Your shoulders, your neck, your tummy, your bum that you sit on so very many hours a day, I imagine. Any tension there? And it's so nice because once you send focus to a certain part of your body to check in for tension, the first reflex on your body's part is to let go of the tension. It's the funniest thing. Magic. So talking of alignment, right? Why is this so darn important? So a lot goes into speaking, right? That's something I've sort of been reiterating today. So it's not just the two little flaps, the vocal folds that are flapping against each other inside your larynx, right? When the breath hits them, right? And the breath, it comes into the lungs, right? And the lungs where are they situated? Where are they housed? Where are they residing? In your ribs, bones again, right? And then those, right, they are attached to the intercostal muscles. Going to talk about that this week, right? And then there's the diaphragm, the weirdest of muscles that concerns breathing, concerns optimally producing sound, right? And that in turn is going to connect to the spine, and then the spine connects to the shoulders, and that is connected to the arms, and then you got hands, and then you got the pelvis. So very important for women. The spine connects to the shoulders connect to the arms, then you got the hands, the pelvis, and it connects to the thighs, and it connects to the knees, lower leg bones, feet, toes. It's all interconnected. You get the point. You get the picture, right? So all these anatomical connections, right? They're all involved in making the voice happen, okay? We don't want the voice to suffer because our feet are not relaxed, right? So how does this work exactly, right? How do we find this alignment? With the check-ins and with certain changes that we might incorporate. So we're going to start at the knees, okay? So I invite you to stand up if you're able to. But you could also be doing this sitting down. Sitting up is better though, okay? So your knees. Have you ever heard the term locked knees? Unlock your knees. I've heard it so very many times in my yoga classes, whoever's teaching. So it's a thing when it comes to alignment. Alignment is at the center of any yoga practice. So now, if they are locked, that creates additional tension, right? And that affects freedom of breath because the tension kind of travels to other parts of your body. And the knee locking, it leads to a tighter thigh, tighter bum, okay? Then the pelvic floor muscles, mega important for women. So tighter lower back as we travel upwards, abdominal muscles, right? So you end up probably sucking in your stomach, and that affects the freedom of the ribs and the diaphragm, and that takes us back to breath. So that is to point out why this is important again, right? So I want you to notice your knees, and I want you to ask yourself, do they feel tight, locked? And now I want you to allow them to gently, and this is the word of the week, everybody, gently soften. Soften. Kind of imagine like your kneecaps are sort of falling off the front of your knees. Not a pretty picture, but so long as the metaphor is powerful, we can take it on, right? I want you to switch now between locking and releasing, okay? See that contrast, right? And tune into how this tiny movement affects the rest of the body and then subsequently the breath. That is just crazy. Okay. So what are we going to travel on to next? We, of course, got the shoulders. Well, I mean, I haven't met one person who hasn't held any tension or holding in their shoulders. I'm so very much part of the club, right? That also kind of travels into your neck because it's all very close, up close and personal. So it's our body's way, right, to kind of brace itself, to protect ourselves against threats, dinosaurs, I don't know, mammoths, whatever. So they want to eat our entire family and we're ready to fight. Okay. So thanks very much, but not quite what we need for, day-to-day interactions, thankfully. Not yet anyway. It hasn't gotten that apocalyptic yet. So what I want you to try and do is I want you to hunch your shoulders up and try to take a deep breath. How does it feel? I don't know about you guys, but I don't like it. Okay, I'm going to let go. And now I'm going to try and take a deep breath. Somehow feels better, doesn't it? So I want you to compare those experiences, not just now, but outside of now, right? So for instance, it's 4 p.m. on a Friday evening, right? And you've been working all week. Aren't your shoulders somewhere up here or somewhere down here? Are they likely to be in a place where taking a full-on deep breath is pretty much implausible, right? Now we're going to move on to neck and chin. Oh, this is something that I am so guilty of. Whenever I work in my computer, I practically want to get right in there into the camera. So I end up doing this, protruding the chin, right? And this sort of create this sort of inadvertent hump on my neck. And what does that do? It creates tension here in the larynx, in the vocal folds, in the very place where your voice gets created. So you see how it does have so very much to do with how you're going to sound, right? In terms of freedom. Okay. And we want freedom in our accent work. So yeah, well, neutralize. Get it back to where it belongs. So yeah, this is where you at. Watch it, register it, be aware of it, get yourself back to neutral. It's going to do wonders for you. Has done for me 100%. And let us now do a bottom to top sort of scan. Okay. I want you to stand up if at all possible. We're going to start at the feet. All right. And we're going to ask ourselves questions, right? This is one of those body scans where we ask ourselves, what's up? What's up? What am I feeling? Right. So just getting sort of acquainted with what's in there. So I want you to lean back onto your heels, right? So kind of go like this. These are your heels. Okay. And I want you to ask yourself, where in your body do you feel responding to keep you upright? Yeah. So if there's kind of leaning back happening and you're the source of it, how does your body respond to make sure that you do not fall back? Right? Go back to neutral. Now I want you to lean forwards onto your toes instead. Where in the body do you feel tensing in order to stop yourself from toppling over and falling over? Go back to neutral. Can you feel your bum? Can you feel your abdominals kicking in to keep you upright when you're doing this or this? Yeah, this is what we call the I hate this word, compensatory mechanisms, right? So your body needs to ensure that you do not topple over, fall down, what have you. So it needs to somehow have other parts of your body to kick in to keep you standing, right? And it does things that result in the unnecessary excess tension, okay? So your tummy muscles, they should be free to release when you breathe so that your diaphragm, and we're going to talk about it a lot this week, is going to move freely. This is where it's going to go, right? So shake your limbs, okay, your arms, your legs to loosen up and reset, reboot. Let's revisit those knees, shall we? Okay. I want you to lock them back, right? So lock them as we did before. How do you feel the body is responding? Does the pelvis sort of shift a little? Kind of, because the tension's traveling. Can you feel any tension in your back? This is where a lot of my tension used to live. Or your tummy, right? Tense your belly now on purpose. Like you're bracing for for someone to punch you in your stomach, right? Where else can you feel tense when you do that? Register where the tension travels, where it sort of echoes. Can you breathe easier with a tense belly? No. Right? Go back to neutral. Now give me a slouch, down, down, down. Okay, get all dully painted on me. How does it feel to take a breath here in your slouch? Where else can you feel tense? And then the chin, right? Overdo it, hyperbolize it at first, but as you work on your computer, you're gonna want to tend towards that place if you haven't sort of trained yourself not to. How does it feel? Right? And then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as you move back to neutral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you count, it could also be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's got the countdown has got more power to it. Of all sorts, enhancement. So as you do so, register how you got 5 different positions, 5 various stages from leaning in and back to neutral. 5, this is bad. 4, this is better. 3, I'm getting somewhere. 2, okay. 1, oh, this is so much better, right? So capturing the contrasts, small and big. Okay, so great. Now shake it all off. Okay, jiggle, 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 jiggle. All right. Now reflect on what it felt like in all those positions and how you feel now that you've let it all go. Okay, you might feel, comfy physically in some of the positions, but they still might be suboptimal because those are habitual patterns. And as you'll know, lots of habits are not exactly helpful to us. So, questions to ask yourself throughout the day. Where can I feel the weight in my feet when I stand or sit down to speak to somebody? Right? Make sure that it's distributed evenly. There's no tension anywhere. Do I lock my knees when standing? Do I sit on one foot or hip? Do I sort of shift? Am I sort of like, some liquid that hasn't quite solidified yet and is not sure where it's at? Is my tummy held in all the time? Am I trying to suck in the stomach for some sick aesthetic purposes? Are my shoulders rolled forwards in any way? Yeah, always rolling back and back to neutral. Am I reaching forward with my chin when I speak? Right? Trying to get closer to the person you're trying to connect with. It might as well be informed, with something really, really, what's the word? Got the word. Let's call it benign for now. So awareness, that's what it's going to help you get, right? Awareness of how you speak as you speak all day, right? Now, articulatory tension, it's so much easier to register, and it's so much fun to work with, actually. So when you think articulatory tension, what do you guys think? Take a second to think about where it's going to be held and stored in your face and inside your mouth. Boom. Number 1, jaw, the epic tension keeper. Okay, so right below the hinge, find the meat and massage, massage, massage all day long, okay? In between meetings every morning before you go to bed, massage, 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 massage away, okay? Good stuff. Very good stuff. Okay. Moving on further, we got tongue. A ton of tension in one's tongue. And in some cultures, there's more to it, like in Hindi, they really do tense it up in the back portion, and it shows in how the accent goes. So it's interesting how much immediate effect certain positions and the amount of tone to set positions is going to have on the product. So we want a very relaxed tongue. The American accent is all about relaxedness, you guys. So let's do a tongue trail for starters. Okay, and then we got the lips. Boy, do they do a lot of work. So we want very relaxed lips, but we want enough tone in them as well. So that's a bit of a paradox, and we're going to get into it for sure. So let us just trill away. If all of you is relaxed, you're going to have an affair to go on for a while. The soft palate, I want you to yawn for me and feel it moving upwards. Okay, how do we warm up? Well, we're going to do a lot of warm-ups Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, so buckle up. And there's this sort of kind of verbal, emotional, mental element to it. You want to warm up and quote unquote end it well. End it well as in prime yourself for sort of prolonged successful outcome. Successful not meaning perfect. I hate the word perfect. We're so not doing perfect. We're creating space for errors, pauses, doubt, discomfort. We priming ourselves for readiness. And readiness, according to the best person in the world, Tamar Bay, is not about controlling everything, right? It's about leaving space for very much uncontrolled stuff. I know it's getting philosophical at this point, but we're almost done for now. And a lot of it is going to flow into the second week. But just think on it, right? So how controlling are you? How willing are you to relinquish control when it comes to speaking the language, right? And yeah, this is my favorite thing. And this is where I'm so on the same page as Samar, my favorite voice author. You got to create space for mischief and playfulness. And if you approach something with playfulness, you cannot be overly earnest about it. And therefore you cannot be this, self kind of defeating perfectionist. You can be both at once. The playfulness, the mischief, sort of, going back to the beginning where you were the baby that screamed and didn't control the scream. That is at the center of letting go. Now, the ultimate warm-up, okay? Shake it out, dance it out, shimmy it out, and jiggle it out every morning to your favorite song. My goodness, the tension release that you're going to get, it's just outrageous how well it works and how easy it is to do. Like nobody's watching, as in nobody ought to be watching. It should be just you and your pet or something, or your kids, and you guys should dance it out. And this is where the relaxedness kicks in, because when you're aware and you've shaken it out, well, this is where, the magic happens. On the importance of presence, just a teeny note. Whenever you're finding yourself in a place where you're talking to somebody and you're unhappy with yourself, you don't like the way you sound, you don't like what you're saying, you don't like something and it's bugging you, and you kind of very much preoccupied with it when you don't want to be, and you'd rather be listening and just being present and being connected and being in it, but your brain's in the way of things and your body is in the way of things. So first of all, unlock your knees, right? Make sure that you're not slouching and you're not protruding your chin and your feet are planted. This is number one. And then you enter this dialogue, right, with yourself. If there's a visual representation to this discomfort with yourself, right? So you see yourself, you imagine yourself, you're envisioning yourself, and you're like, I don't like this. Say to yourself 2 words, I see, right? Your thoughts, you can't really control your thoughts, but you can say to yourself, I see. And that serves as a kind of a, I don't want to say trigger, because that one has got an ultimately negative connotation to it, but that serves as kind of a segue to presence. Okay, so I see what you're trying to say. Let go. If it's more verbal and you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, what am I saying? Oh, what the heck is this? Oh, I can't believe this is happening. I'm so not warmed up today. I'm so not my best self. I'm so imperfect. This is where you say to yourself, I hear. Not even to yourself, but to your chatty brain, that chatterbox of yours. And you say to it, I hear. And somehow, my God, this has done wonders for me. It does take a lot of practice, but it helps you sort of shift back into presence again. And finally, this is a good one to finish with. Use your senses. Use your senses. Use your senses. Smell the room that you're in. Literally. Listen. What are you hearing? Some kids in the playground, right outside the building that you're in. Maybe there's a bus that just stopped and the doors are opening and then closing. Maybe there's birds chirping. Maybe there's the wind blowing, right? Feel the floor with your feet. Be literally grounded. Yeah. Feel the floor and see what's around you. See the humans. See how, oh, that one is sitting interesting. Oh, that one has got gorgeous hair. Oh, I love that color on them. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, I think I've seen that person before. Oh, these two appear to be a couple. Shift that focus from me. And I know from experience, my goodness, myself first and foremost, I'm the source, how much we tend to do that to ourselves. Not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. Shift the focus onto people that you're saying, onto smells that you're registering. Flowers, maybe it's a little stuffy in the room. Maybe you smell dust. Maybe it's not the nicest of smells and you should not be smelling it. I don't know, right? But the shift and the relaxedness that comes with it, because the shrinking no longer happens. You're expanding because you're looking around yourself. That's so cool, so powerful and empowering. So yeah, okay. Cannot wait to discuss all of this stuff with y'all. And I cannot wait to do the first shadowing and do the first warm up with y'all. So thanks so much for your attention. Thanks so much for being here. Lots of love. Talk to you soon.